Another change also is the salary and allowance of the president.
Wow.
Now, under the 2020 draft, a president who, since leaving office, is convicted of a crime, of an offense related to when he was in office, that person would no longer receive a salary.
Okay, if the president, after coming out of office,
Yes.
is convicted for what he might have done while in office,
Yes.
that person should not have salary.
Under the proposed
Should not-
draft.
yeah.
Yes. Now they have removed the portion that says while he was in office. So one can say it's a good thing, one can say it's a bad thing. But basically, if you leave office and you are convicted of a crime, you will not receive a salary.
Salary.
But mainly the crimes would be related to while you were in office, for which you have immunity,
Yeah.
and now they have protected you from. so
So another protection for the president.
yes, another thing also is that if a commission of inquiry finds that you have abused office or had acted corruptly, your salary would stop. So if an ex-president was subjected to a commission of inquiry, and then the commission of inquiry finds that you had abused office or had been corrupt, then your salary would stop and would not come. That has been removed.
Removed.
So you can be an ex-president, be found by a commission of inquiry to have been corrupt,
And continue to
your
get
salary would still continue to come. So they have removed that portion also.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
So let's come to the third term before we run out. Sorry, the term limit before we
Yes.
run out,
Yes.
because there's a lot of talk about it now.
yes,
Okay, under the 2020 draft constitution, in fact, one of the most contentious issue at the time was, it says that if and when that constitution comes to effect, that very day, because in September 2020, that very day would have counted as a first term of the sitting president.
yes,
That would have been 2020. It would have been recognized as the first term of President Barrow.
yes,
But cabinet position paper I saw said that would be discriminatory to the sitting president. It could have been President Barrow or anybody. The language was that is discriminatory to the sitting president. So, even though they said the president is committed to term limit, but they felt that would be discriminatory for him. So they brought it back now. And it looks like now they are happy. Now, in 2024, they are happy that it can pass like it is, because it would mean that this term is the one that's considered to be his first term, when actually, as a human being, Barrow had served 2 terms. So that's what people are trying to analyze. What has changed, if there is any?
yes. So I'll just give you my analysis, and I think what have they changed? Let's start from there. There is a 2-term limit that is still there, but they have changed that portion that said the current president, the current term shall be his first.
They've changed that.
They've changed that.
So,
They have removed it. So now there's just a 2-term limit.
I see.
I think they made a mistake. Yes. Because, and this is law. Another lawyer can come and sit here and have another interpretation. That is normal. My interpretation is that under this draft, they made a mistake in the language, and President Barrow would be disqualified from running after 2026.
After 2026.
He cannot run in 2026.
But maybe that meets with his ambition, and his ambition might just be to run for 2026.
No, he cannot run for 2026.
He cannot run for 2026.
So that's why I
And
think
that's important. I thought you mentioned 2031. He may not be running.
no. So that's why.
So the language here could be interpreted. He may not be. He may be disqualified from running in 2026.
Yes, because the language now says a person shall be elected to. A person is elected to be president for a term of 5 years, and for not more than 2 terms, whether consecutive or not. It means any person can only be president for 2 5-year terms.
Yes.
Now, remember the beginning of our conversation, I had said whenever you are passing a law, and that law will affect somebody who is already engaged in an activity which you are now trying to regulate, you must have what we call a transitional provision
to explain,
to deal with that person, because there is a transition where you are changing a situation from one condition to another. That is why in 2020 they were going to introduce a term limit, because President Barrow rightly currently he can run, he's entitled to run as many times as he wants
under the 1997.
Correct. But in 2020 they were going to create a term limit, and this is the problem in Senegal, this is the problem in many African countries. If you're establishing the term limit, when do you start counting?
That's the problem.
So that is why in 2020 they said, well, currently there is a person in office, that person's current term will be considered to be his first, and the language is notwithstanding any rule of interpretation or rule of construction, he can run for one more term, which will be his final term. So it was very clear there will be a term limit. There is no confusion. His Excellency can run from 2021 for a period of 5 years. Now, when you remove that transitional provision, it is totally deleted. And you just say there is a 2-term limit. My interpretation is that if this constitution passes, and let's say June 2025 we have a new constitution, and he is the president of the Third Republic, in reality he is the president of the Third Republic and would be in his second and final term. There is no transitional provision saying that, well, this is his first term, he can run another one. So I don't know whether it's intentional or they made a mistake. Another lawyer will sit here and say, well...
So you mean if it does pass in 2025, they can argue that that term will be considered his first. Why would you think they would know that term cannot be considered his first?
No, I will argue. So what I can bet you is that someone will file a case in the Supreme Court to ask for interpretation as it regards President Barrow. How I read it is that no man or woman shall be president for more than 10 years. If this new constitution passes, a man in the person of His Excellency President Barrow would have been in power for 10 years, and therefore under this new constitution cannot run again. Another person will interpret it to say, no, time starts now. He can now run for 2 5-year terms of 10, meaning he can run from 2026 to 2036. But how is that resolved under our law? We would go to the Supreme Court. And I think with this draft, you create a situation where the fate of the president, if he wants to run again, will be determined by the Supreme Court, because you're creating a situation where there is room for interpretation. And that is why I think it should have been clearer. If the current incumbent wants to run again, they should have created a transitional provision allowing him to run once or 2 terms to say that his current term will not count. But if you leave it silent, part of the population will say he's done 10 years. That's what the Constitution says. We are not allowing him to do more than 10 years.
So as it is now, the Constitution basically saying that anybody who did 2 terms should go. And Barrow would have done 2 terms by the time this Constitution will pass.
But
then another person can argue that no, his first term starts when the Constitution was passed.
Correct.
So this is why you are suggesting maybe if his ambition was to contest in 2026, his drafters probably made a mistake there by leaving it in this ambiguous way.
Yes, it is ambiguous, and I'm not sure whether that is the intention. So probably something that they should.
Well, that's not consistent with all the intentions we suspected with the changes over there. So it could be a mistake on this part of the people who drafted it.
Exactly.
By